Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Jonathan Alfonso, and today's video I want to have this conversation. Are you getting your real estate license and thinking about being a part-time agent? Are you a buyer or seller, and are you hiring an agent, and are they part-time? All right. If either one of these apply to you, I think you're going to want to watch this video, because in this video I am going to go into why I think being a part-time agent is something you really have to think through. And if you're hiring someone and they are a part-time agent, these are some of the issues that you are going to run into and what they are. So let's dive right in. If this is your first time on the channel, I'm Jonathan Alfonso. I am a real estate broker and attorney based out of Miami, Florida. And this channel is dedicated to all things real estate related. Now, in today's video, what I want to touch upon is a recent experience that I had, right? So I've been in real estate for 12 plus years. My family's always been around real estate. I had my license for some time, and about 2 years ago, I decided to open Portal. One thing I had actually never done is I had never gone to one of these career fairs that they have for students slash, incoming agents that are getting their real estate license. In my community, one of the biggest schools is Gold Coast, and they have a career fair. So I had never done this. I thought, let's go over there. Maybe, and we need more agents because we're growing so fast. So I was like, let's see if we can recruit some new, fresh blood. And I went to the career fair and we signed up, and it was very eye-opening. Now, a lot of this is very eye-opening because one of the things that's also happened recently is, I don't know if you all have seen it, but South Park came out with an episode, basically, trolling, making a satire out of the real estate game. And it was actually pretty damn funny. I mean, even as someone who, works with agents, is an agent, is a broker, it was pretty funny. They nailed it. You can definitely tell that real estate is on their radar. And, a lot of the things that I'm covering in this video makes a lot of sense why South Park would make fun of it, because it's how our industry is portrayed. And, I kind of want to get into that a little bit. The reason I want to get into this is, the big takeaway from being at the career fair that I saw was, I would say probably 80 to 90% of the students that I spoke with, I'm having a conversation. They're like, and I got the same answer every time. It's like, well, I'm just going to do real estate part-time, or I'm thinking about starting this part-time. And the more it happened, and then the more that I thought about it when I got out of there, it started to percolate in my brain. And I was like, this is a very big issue in our industry, right? Because so many people are coming in, and now with this work from home mentality, and I know real estate has been around for a while, but now with, everything being online, everybody must think, well, what, this is a perfect little side hustle I can have, right? And it's very problematic because it goes to the heart of a lot of the issues that I see, right? And now, if you're a buyer out there, right, let's say, and you're thinking about retaining an agent, and you meet with an agent, no agent is going to come out and tell you, hey, by the way, I just got my license. I really don't know what I'm doing. But let's figure this out together. Come on, I mean, it's the biggest purchase of your life. We can kind of do this together, and you're going to be paying me 3% of $750,000. It's 22 grand. I mean, we all win here. No, right? You're going to meet with them, and they're going to say things like, I'm a professional, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm aligned with a brokerage, and, I'm here to serve you, and we're going to make your dreams come true, or whatever else that they give you, right? Because at the end of the day, anyone with even a basic amount of sales can tell you that. But the problem is, you as a consumer, what should you look out for, right? And what does this mean to you, right? Because the way I see it, especially from a broker standpoint, I was talking with a lot of these agents, and I could tell I really, kind of struck a nerve with them, because, one of the first simple questions that I asked them is, I said, listen, if you're going to do this part-time and you're going to keep whatever your main gig is, and now you're going to do this on the side, I go, if you go on a listing appointment, and let's say you win against somebody like me, I am not the be-all, end-all of real estate. But I do believe if you put me in a room with someone that fits my box of types of clients, I mean, the reality is 95% of the time, I get that listing, right? And what I was saying to these agents is, imagine, a seller is having me interview and you interview. Who do you think wins that interview? And they're like, well, you do. And I was like, now, wouldn't you want to put yourself in a position to learn and try as hard and do everything possible? Because you need to beat me. Because whether it's me, there's a bunch of other top agents out there that you're probably going to go up against on a listing. And how do you beat them, right? And how do you do this on a part-time basis? And the reason I was having this conversation with them, right, is because, and this is a statistic, and this doesn't come from, any source, this comes actually from the National Association of Realtors. They have a statistic, and I believe it's 87%. It's like whatever. You know, the way I've always phrased it is 9 out of 10 realtors are out of the business within 5 years. All right. So 90% of agents. That means, think about this. When a consumer is out there transacting, 90% of the real estate agents that they probably come across, interact with, are not even going to be in the business in 5 years. Think about that. All right. And it's very important because what I see is, you know, and this is, listen, this advice applies to you. If you're thinking about becoming an agent or you're out there interviewing a prospective realtor and you're a buyer or seller, you need to think about this because here are some of the difficulties I see with the fact that so many people want to do this business part-time. Wait a second. Before I continue, I need a favor from you guys. If you can hit that like button and that subscribe button down below, it would really help us. Remember, the YouTube algorithm tends to favor those who get those likes, gets more subscribers and viewers. And listen, I want to be able to bring you guys more content. I want to engage with you guys. I want to know what it is that you guys want. So for me, the more conversations we can have, the more we can grow this channel together, and the more we can talk real estate all the time. So I really appreciate your support, but let's get back to the video. The first issue I see is just, you know, just the actual work, right? Like, forget about the fact that you need to have all this market knowledge and you need to have all this understanding of contracts and negotiations and all that. Let's go to the most basic thing, which you need to be able to do to apply any of that knowledge. Go out there and show properties, right? If you're part-time, all right, and your buyer calls you, you need to be able to move at a moment's notice. For example, for me, I have 3 agents under me. So if somebody comes to me and gives me a showing, if I'm not doing anything this very second, I go down my pipeline and one of the 3 under me is usually available to show it to you within 4 hours, right? Because you need to be able to move fast. Now, if you have a full-time gig or you have another gig and you're doing this part-time, right? How can you move that quickly in a market that moves quickly, right? How do you rely on? How do you show properties? Oh, well, you know, Jonathan, I'm just trying to do showings. Let's say you're a part-time listing agent, right? And you're just gonna, you know, you're just gonna list properties. That's the only thing you're gonna do. People are gonna reach out to you unexpectedly and you need to show it. And now you need to clear your schedule and get yourself there. It becomes very difficult. So how do you do that? How can you provide that level of service? Oh, well, Jonathan, that doesn't matter because in this market, you know, properties sell quickly. So, you know, I'll be able to get it done. All right. But to get your client top dollar, you need to show it to as many people as possible. Right? And if you're not able to show it to a large pool of buyers to kind of create that competition where, you know, you can hopefully create a bidding war, then how are you going to handle that if you only showed it to, you know, the 3 people that happen to be available when you were available, you know? So that starts to create issues. And as you can see, it becomes difficult when you're trying to do something part-time that is really a full-time job. The second issue that I see for people that are part-time is just relationship building, right? In this business, one of the biggest things that I bring to the table to my clients is my relationships. It's my relationships with other agents that allows me to reach out to them, get showings where other people can't get showings, to make offers and get more information and more detailed data as to how we can structure that. And people are willing to have a conversation with me because of who I am. My vendors, right? I have lenders, right? That I'm able to reach out to and say, hey, listen, I have this buyer profile, etc. I refer my buyer over, and because it's me, they're gonna give my client more attention as opposed to, listen, you're a part-time agent, you randomly reach out. Yeah, the lender's gonna take the lead, but are they gonna do it with the same care that they do to my leads? I know they don't because I've spoken to the lenders and they understand that, listen, you know, a referral from me is valuable because they know I'm going to get the job done. A referral from somebody who's never closed a file, they're kind of like, oh, well, we'll see. Yeah, here's your paperwork. Here's your pre-approval, you know, go on your way. All right. This goes for inspectors, vendors, you know, all sorts of relationships that I'm able to leverage just by virtue of the fact that we have numerous closings going on at all times. We're doing in excess of 40 closings a month. You know what I'm saying? So we have all this stuff going on that I'm constantly able to bring people into the fold and leverage these relationships so my clients can leverage from them. And that's not just me. That's every top agent. Every agent that does a lot of volume is able to bring that to the table, right? And if you're not doing that volume, it becomes very hard for you because, listen, you're starting out and listen, everybody's got to start somewhere. I have massive respect for the hustle. I want people to do well, but you have to understand that when you begin, that is something that you're up against, okay? Because you're up against the people that are already established. And that's the advantages they have on you, and it's these relationships. And forget about the fact that you can leverage these relationships and you can build that scale, right? How about just relationships with other agents, right? If I'm dealing with you on the other side and you're that agent and you do it one-off and I can't schedule showings and you're difficult to get a hold of, all right, and you're doing all of that, it becomes difficult for me on the other side. And if I see you on another file, I'm like, I got to deal with this again, Or listen, for example, a couple, this is now going back to, my title side. A while ago, I used to deal with an agent. They were part-time, right? And they had a full-time gig, so they would only work their files at nighttime. So everyone, myself, the other realtors, would get emails at 9 o'clock at night. Oh, we need to do this. And oh, I have this question. And oh, what's going on? And it's like, listen, everybody was working from 9 to 5. We were all available. In fact, during the day, we were dealing with these issues and we were reaching out to you and you wouldn't answer. And the other realtors would get annoyed and everybody would get annoyed because it's like, oh, now at 9 o'clock at night, we all need to stop what we're doing because you do this as a side gig, right? And it becomes very frustrating for everybody involved. And even that person, from my understanding, is no longer in the industry. Why? Because it's very difficult when you do it on the side, all right, to kind of build that rapport when you create those little hurdles of, listen, a 9 o'clock at night email resolving an issue that everybody was handling during the day becomes a little annoying. Next part of the puzzle is, right, how are you going to get a team in place, right? If you're not doing this at scale and you're not doing it full time, then do you have an assistant? Do you have a team? Who can you rely on? You can't get systems in place. So you're kind of drawing out the whole process of getting your business going because you can't get any of that in there, right? And that's so important in this business, right? The most important thing is, especially if you're an agent, is to go out there and to have the ability to be, gathering leads while you have a back office team that's handling everything. Usually when you start out, you have to do everything all yourself. So when you're doing everything yourself, it becomes a little more cumbersome. And from the client's perspective, right, if you are a buyer, seller, and you're dealing with a part-time agent, well, now every time you want to get something done, you got to wait until they decide they're on the clock, right, on their part-time clock, and then you get stuff back, and then it takes longer, and it elongates that whole thing because they don't have a team in place, and it becomes very annoying for you to transact with someone that, like, you could be moving so much quicker, and you're waiting, for them to go on the clock at 9 o'clock at night. So my advice to you is, listen, if you're a buyer seller and you even sniff that somebody is a part-time agent, I think you're really going to want to ask that agent, listen, are you full-time? Are you part-time? Listen, if they're part-time and you like them and you like their hustle and you think they're going to do anything, then you need to ask them, what happens for this? Do you have a team in place? Do you have back office support? Can I meet your assistant? Can I meet the other people on the team that you're going to pass me off to? Who's available to do the showings? All these other things. Because listen, there's nothing wrong if you're part-time and you're going to bring in and that agent's going to bring in a team and they're going to help you and that's just your point of contact. Or maybe they're part-time and they're just going to take a referral fee. Listen, by all means, if you're now going to have somebody managing your file, that's okay, but you need to look out for that. Now, if you are the part-time agent, I think the most important thing is, and this goes to, what I saw from talking to all these agents and talking to these new agents, because typically I hadn't spoken to this, typically in my day-to-day life, I'll come across a new agent here and there, but I had never spent 2 hours in a row just talking to new agents like I did. And, the one thing that I realized is if you're going to be a part-time agent, I think it's fine. In my opinion, this is a full-time business. You need to be on all the clock. And I think that goes for anything, right? I don't think you should go into anything unless you want to give it your all and, be passionate about it. But that being said, if you got to start out part-time because you got to feed your family, you got to set up your dominoes. I understand all of that. That's perfectly normal. But I think you need to have a plan in place, right? So if you're going to be that part-time agent, what is your plan? How are you going to transition over? What are you going to do? All right, listen, my job is 9 to 5, but I got a little wiggle room. I can carve out 2 hours during the day. So what I'm going to do is, from 9 to 3, I'm going to start banging out. I'm going to start to get all my daytime job work done. And from, 3 to 10, obviously I'm going to eat somewhere in the middle there, but I'm going to work on becoming an agent. So I'm going to spend 2 hours studying the market, looking at all the new comps, understanding what's going on, maybe doing some online training and CLEs. And then, for 3 hours, I'm going to set up some of my new lead gen systems. All right. And then maybe do like an hour of follow-up, etc. And then you start to kind of do all of that. But I think if your plan is like, well, I'm going to stay at my full-time job, and if someone, comes along and I can sell to them, we do that. I see a lot of disservice in that. I think you really need to create that plan and have that plan in place of like, listen, this is how I'm going to break up my time. These are my metrics. Within 2 months, I want to have this many contacts in my database. Within 4 months, I want to have this amount of like marketing material out there that I start to generate. And within 6 months, I want to begin my transition out of my job, something like that. But you really need to set up all these things because I really think you're doing a disservice if you're just going out there and you're saying, well, I'm just going to be a license holder, because That's exactly why South Park is making fun of all of us, is because they think all people do is, grab a license and then try to attach themselves to a deal, when the reality is there's a lot of top agents out there that are, producing at volume, and the reality is they're just adding a lot of value to buyers and sellers, and it's very hard to do that if you're a part-time agent and you're really just kind of figuring this out, at night. So, if you guys have any questions, if you're a part-time agent and you figured out certain things that have worked for you, or if you were able to transition over and you figured it out, I would love to hear your comments below. If you had a horrible experience with a part-time agent, let me know. If you had a wonderful experience with a part-time agent, let me know. Let me know how that worked out. I'm interested to see your comments and thoughts below. Please send them. But once again, remember, I'm Jonathan Alfonso, and thank you for joining our YouTube channel.